Chapter 1. Point 4. The First Hunt. Hoth does not care if a thing is gentle, only whether it endures. Mercy freezes first. The hunger returned with violence. Vaelor awoke shaking uncontrollably beneath the ruins, his stomach twisted into hard knots beneath layers of scavenged cloth and frozen insulation. The last ration bar was gone. His lips had begun cracking badly enough that blood froze at the corners of his mouth whenever he slept. The whispers had grown quiet again. Not gone. Watching. Waiting. Outside, pale light filtered weakly through endless storm clouds. The winds had weakened enough to travel, though the cold remained murderous. Vaelor sat for a long time staring at the makeshift axe resting beside him. The handle had been fashioned from fractured piping and wrapped tightly with torn electrical cord. The head itself was little more than sharpened salvage plating hammered flat against frozen stone until it vaguely resembled a woodcutter's axe. Crude, ugly, necessary. His father would have laughed at it. The memory hurt more than the hunger. Vaelor slowly rose to his feet and began layering additional clothing across his body. Gloves stripped from frozen corpses, heavy jackets scavenged from dead crewmen, torn survival wraps tied around his boots to keep snow from entering. The dead no longer frightened him. Sometimes he quietly thanked them. That frightened him instead. Outside the ruins, fresh tracks cut through the snowfields. Vaelor crouched beside them slowly. Large. Deep. Already partially disappearing beneath drifting powder. Something alive. The tracks moved northeast toward distant glacier ridges where the winds screamed softer against the stone. Vaelor touched the depressions lightly. Warmth still lingered beneath the snow. Recent. A memory surfaced unexpectedly then. Rainfall against pine forests. His father kneeling beside animal tracks in wet mud near Vaelor's coastal woods. Never follow the animal. Follow where it wants safety. Vaelor remembered being small enough that his father's coat swallowed him entirely when storms rolled through the cliffs. Animals think about survival same as us. The memory faded. Only snow remained. Vaelor followed the tracks. The journey lasted hours, or perhaps less. Time no longer behaved correctly on Hoth. The storm thickened and thinned in waves around him as he crossed frozen ridges and narrow ice valleys. Several times he nearly lost the trail entirely before noticing subtle disturbances in the snow again. His father had been right. The tracks did not lead toward open ground. They led toward shelter. Vaelor found the creature near dusk. A wounded tauntaun partially trapped between collapsed ice shelves near the mouth of a shallow cave. Its rear leg bent unnaturally beneath its body. The creature thrashed weakly at his approach, crying out in terrified animal pain. Vaelor stopped several feet away. For a long time, neither moved. Steam rose from the creature's nostrils into the frozen air. Blood stained the surrounding snow, dark crimson beneath the injured leg. It was beautiful. Not monstrous, not vicious. just alive and dying. Vaelor tightened his grip on the makeshift axe. His stomach twisted violently. The Tauntaun tried to crawl backward deeper into the cave, but collapsed immediately with another agonized cry. The sound shattered something inside him. "I'm sorry." The words barely escaped his lips. He raised the axe, swung. The improvised blade shattered instantly against bone. The Tauntaun screamed. Vaelor froze in horror. "No! No, no, no!" The creature writhed desperately in the snow, trying to drag itself away. Vaelor stared at the broken handle still clutched in his hands. His breathing became ragged. Tears burned against skin already half frozen. The Tauntaun cried out again. Fear, pain, desperation. Vaelor looked around wildly for another solution. There wasn't one. The storm screamed louder around the cave mouth. And slowly, shaking violently, Vaelor picked up a heavy section of fractured plating from the ground. The next sounds haunted him forever. When it was over, the cave became silent. Vaelor knelt beside the body, trembling uncontrollably, blood steaming across his gloves and sleeves. He could not stop staring at the crushed skull. He had hunted before as a child. Small game, fish, forest animals. But never this, never like this. The creature had looked at him, trusted him for one brief moment not to hurt it, and he had beaten it to death. Vaelor stumbled backward against the cave wall and vomited violently into the snow. The whispers remained silent. Even they seemed distant now. Hours passed before he forced himself to move again. Survival did not care about grief. He carved what meat he could from the carcass with broken salvage blades while darkness slowly consumed the glacier fields outside. The smell spread quickly. Blood, steam, fresh death. And somewhere far beyond the storm, something answered it. A distant roar echoed across the ice. Deep, predatory. Vaelor froze instantly. Another roar followed closer this time. A whamper. The cave suddenly felt very small. Panic surged through him instantly. He gathered whatever meat he could carry into torn cloth wraps and fled into the storm without looking back. The darkness swallowed direction almost immediately. Snow hammered against him hard enough to blind. The winds shifted violently around the glacier fields until every path looked identical. Vaelor became lost within minutes. By the time he found shelter again, he was barely conscious. A narrow crack beneath an overhanging ice shelf shielded him from the worst of the wind. He collapsed inside, shaking violently beside the bundled meat. No wood, no fuel, no fire, only cold. The raw flesh still steamed faintly in the frozen dark. Vaelor stared at it for a very long time, then slowly pushed the meat deep into the snowpack beside him, letting the ice freeze it solid. Safer that way. Cleaner, he hoped. Blood coated his gloves, his hands, his clothes, his soul. The darkness around him deepened unnaturally, and for the first time since arriving on Hoth, Vaelor no longer knew whether the cold he felt came from the storm or from himself. Chapter 1.5 Echoes Beneath the Ice. Not all ghosts are dead. Some are memories the world refuses to release. The Wumpa never found him. At least Vaelor believed it had not. Several times during the night he heard distant roaring somewhere beyond the storm, followed by long stretches of silence so complete they became unbearable. Snow drifted steadily across the narrow ice crevice where he had taken shelter, slowly sealing the entrance inch by inch. The meat froze solid beside him. Blood darkened the snow around his boots. Vaelor sat motionless with his back against the ice wall, arms wrapped tightly around himself beneath layers of stolen clothing. Sleep refused to come properly now. Whenever he closed his eyes, he saw the Tauntaun again. The fear in its eyes. The sound. Gods. The sound. He pressed his forehead against the frozen wall hard enough to hurt. The cold no longer felt external. It had moved inward. Hours passed, or minutes. Time had become meaningless beneath Hoth storms. Eventually, exhaustion dragged him into shallow sleep anyway. And the world changed. Snowfall. Not the violent chaos of Hoth storms. Gentle snow. Vaelor stood alone upon a frozen plain beneath a black sky filled with slow-moving clouds. No wind touched him here. No cold bit his skin. Silence stretched endlessly across the white wasteland. Then came the sound, steel. A distant impact somewhere beyond the fog. Another. Vaelor turned slowly. Two figures moved within the storm far ahead. At first they appeared barely human. Dark silhouettes shifting through blowing snow like shadows beneath deep water. One carried a massive axe. The other moved with chains wrapped around both arms. Neither wore Jedi robes. Neither resembled Sith. They looked ancient, primitive, broken. The axe-bearing warrior moved first. A brutal overhead strike crashed downward hard enough to split the glacier beneath them. Ice erupted skyward in jagged shards, while the second figure twisted aside, chains whipping through the storm like living things. The clash shook the world. Vaelor felt it beneath his feet. Not physically, emotionally. Grief, rage, endurance. The warriors moved again. Not graceful, not elegant. Every strike looked heavy enough to kill. The chain-wrapped figure slammed sideways into the axe-wielder, and both vanished briefly into spiraling snow before emerging again several yards apart. The storm itself reacted to them. Pressure surged violently through the air around each collision. Snow bent inward unnaturally. Ice groaned beneath impossible force. Vaelor could not breathe. Not from fear. Recognition. The dead language surfaced again inside him. Kevor. Pressure storm. The axe warrior staggered suddenly to one knee. Dark blood spilled across the snow. The chain-bearing figure stopped instantly. For several long moments, neither moved. Then, the chained warrior extended one hand, not in victory, in offering. The wounded figure stared upward through the storm and slowly accepted it. The moment their hands touched, the vision shattered violently. Vaelor awoke gasping. Darkness surrounded him once more. The storm screamed outside the crevice. His entire body trembled uncontrollably now, though not entirely from cold. Something felt wrong. The pressure had changed again. Vaelor slowly looked toward the narrow entrance of the shelter. Fresh snow had partially collapsed inward during the night, but beneath the drifting powder, tracks, not Tauntaun, not Wumper, humanoid. Vaelor's pulse quickened instantly. The prints circled the entrance. Once, twice, then vanished back into the storm. No drag marks, no visible direction, only footprints. His breathing became shallow. He was not alone out here. Or worse, something had watched him sleep. The whispers returned softly then, barely audible beneath the wind. Not words this time. Emotion. Mourning. Vaelor stared at the frozen meat beside him for a long time, then slowly looked back toward the footprints outside. And for the first time since arriving on Hoth, he began wondering whether the planet was trying to show him something, or remember something through him. If you have made it this far into the video, please consider giving us a like and subscribe and comment down below if you would like to see the next part.